Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I know it's not Asian Appreciation Month, I'm just getting this video out the way and everything now instead of waiting a couple of months, And I'm here today to talk to you about Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1, the Netflix show. So this show came out in 2023, and I have now finally watched it. I still don't do the whole Netflix thing. I'm just like, screw it. I'll go to my cousin's place and watch it. And so I finally did, and I can finally form a real true opinion other than just the clips and stuff like that I saw. And for the most part, my opinion still has not changed. After fully watching this, my opinion is still exactly how it was before. This is a interesting, odd series. Like, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender, but then again, it is not. First, before I say anything, let me just say, it's a million times better than this abomination from M. Night Shyamalan, The Last Airbender. My God, I still can't believe what I watched when I watched this series back in the day. However, oddly enough, there are just a tiny bit of things that this movie do slightly better than the series. Just slightly, and I mean just a teeny pinch and everything. Not like a whole lot. Not a gob, just a teeny tiny little pinch and stuff like that. And one of those things I'll just probably say right here now is that while the Netflix series looks like Avatar: The Last Airbender in terms of set pieces and stuff like that, because they put it on a volume and it's all CGI. A lot of the backgrounds are from that of a volume, and very few set pieces and stuff, and a whole lot of green screen. When it comes to this movie, I do appreciate some of the practical stuff that they used in this movie. Like, when you're actually walking around like a market or a town, it actually looks real. When they're outside, it actually looks real. It doesn't look digital and stuff. The Netflix show did do a good job with the digital stuff, but it's like there were times you can tell it was digital. Also, the clothes look more realistic for some bizarre reason in the movie. And like, it's not that the Netflix show clothes are cheap by any means. It just, I don't know, it feels off. It feels almost like cosplay. But the clothes in the movie just, for some reason, just feels more real. Also, the last thing is Yue. Her wig looks a whole lot better in the movie than it does in the television series and stuff. And so that's pretty much about it in terms, and at least, that's about it. So into the show. I am beyond conflicted. I am beyond conflicted when watching this show and talking about it now. Only because, like I said before, it is Avatar: The Last Airbender, but then again, it is not. Wait, did I say 2023? I'm going to say 2024. Anyway, it came out in 2024. Oh, also, I know it's not Asian Appreciation Month. I'm just getting this video out the way now, and I don't want to have to wait a couple of months to upload it, so don't get confused. But anyways, so like, I'm so conflicted. See, when I like adaptions, I can go either way. If it's like a comic book, I will go either way because, as long as you get the character profile right, the gist of them, I'm happy because there's millions and millions of comic books, and so it's like I don't really care what kind of story they decide to tell and everything, just as long as they act the way they normally do in a comic book. Like Superman doesn't go around like killing people, and despite even though a few comic book issues where he did. So that's not an excuse just because he did it in a few issues, but in the majority of those issues, he doesn't go around killing and snapping people's necks. Same thing with Batman. Yes, he has killed in some of the other movies, and yes, he has killed before in the comics, but it's not like it's a recurring thing. So when it comes to like a comic book, I could care less of how you adapt it. A Disney movie, I'm a little bit different. See, with a Disney animated movie, if I love the movie, then when it comes to live action, I pretty much just want a beat by beat. And if you add something new, make sure you add something that just makes sense or makes something better. The reason why I did not love the Lion King movie is because the animals had no expressions on their face. And the reason why I just didn't love Aladdin is because it just felt off for some bizarre reason. It just didn't feel genuine. Now, if it's like a Disney movie I could care less about, then I can care less about the adaptation. It's just make a good movie. You know what I'm saying? Now, books is a little bit different because I don't read books and novels and stuff like that. So I have no idea if it's being adapted correctly or not until I decide to read up on it online, like, like on Wikipedia and stuff, and get the gist of what's supposed to happen with certain characters and how they're supposed to act. So then I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm still enjoying myself, but it would have been better if you would have done this and done that. Now, as for that of an animated series, the first time, because most of the time they don't get adapted. I am a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. Now, when I differentiate between the show, or the cartoon series, and the movie, I will say book one, or whatever the book seasons are for the animated series, and season for the live action. Now, I'm a huge fan of the animated series, like a diehard fan, I've never met somebody who hates this show. And so, like, I am a Avatar purist. Personally, for me, I would have preferred if they took those 8 episodes, split them up in 2, so, you could have like 16, and then tell like, 20 to 30 minutes worth of 16 episodes. They would be able to cover a lot of the lore and not leave much out. Because take the 8th episode in season 1. Did it really, like when they got to the Northern Water tribe, did it really have to take 2 episodes just to tell that story? Like, did it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was too long. And yeah, it feels mostly beat by beat. For the most part, they left some stuff out. And yeah, it's weird. They had 2 full hours to tell that, and they still left stuff out. But then when you look at the animated series in book 1, the finale, yes, it was still a 2-parter, but it was, 20 minutes. So that's around like 40 minutes. So I don't understand how they could leave certain elements out that was crucial, but like, make it longer for the television show and still leave stuff out. And so when watching this series, it feels so off because the characters, while many of them look the way they do, they don't act the way they do. They don't sound the way they do. And by the way, if you're one of those people who's kind of like, oh, well, this character doesn't look the way they do in the animated series, like say like Azula and everything, and they're all like, oh, this just ruins my life. Okay, first of all, just get over it. Okay, just get over it. Not every person who's adapted into live action always gonna look the way that their animated counterpart does, all right? Michael Keaton does not look like Batman from the comics, but yet people accept him. Every Superman since Christopher Reeves, including him, doesn't look like Superman from the comics. George Reeves does, the dude from the television series, but, Christopher Reeves didn't look like Superman from the comics. Now, it was after he, hit like lightning in a bottle with that role that they decided to change the facial features of Superman to match that of Christopher Reeves, and so on and so on. So I don't care if the Azula actress doesn't look like the one from the cartoon, as long as she acts like her, and she doesn't act like her. And you also have to remember something. A lot of Asian people have round faces. She's young. She still has like fat in her cheeks. She has a round face. A lot of Asian people do. The reason why so many people don't know that, because you don't see too many Asian people in television shows and movies. And most of the time when you do, they have cosmetic surgery to look more Western and stuff. Julie Chen from Big Brother, her whole face is reconstructed. A lot of K-pop singers and J-pop singers, are mostly K-pop singers. Their whole thing is just to reconstruct their face. It's really, plastic surgery is big over there in South Korea and stuff like that. And so you don't really, so you get this fake impression of what they're supposed to look like with the sharp like chins and pointy noses, big eyes, blonde hair. And but you don't really know what they look like because you don't really see authentic looking ones on television that much. So people are very unaccustomed to it, but that doesn't mean you have to trash that girl online. I mean, the girl has done nothing, you know what I'm saying? And the same thing with Grand. A lot of people's all like, they didn't like how she did the narration for the intro. And here's the thing, the intro itself, like the graphics went on for way too long. And some of the people in the intro was CGI, which was weird. But anyways, when it comes to that of indigenous people, Native American, here's the thing a lot of people don't realize, because once again, they're never really seen on television and movies. A lot of people don't know how some of them talk. A lot of them, especially the older ones, and especially from like, you know, they speak very slow and everything. I don't know why. They just do. They have kind of like this really like, you know, bellowing, like deep voice that they talk really slow. I remember that because there was a show I used to watch called Northern Exposure that was set in Alaska, and it had plenty of Native American people in there. Although the people from Alaska like to be called Native Alaskan, I think, I forget, they like to be called something else, but they don't like being called Native American. They like to be called Native Alaskan or something like that. And so like, because I rewatched like a couple of episodes recently because I just found out it's on Amazon Prime. And so I was reliving the early 90s, like literally 1990 or 1991 when the show came out. And some of the people there had like talked very slow. So a lot of people nowadays are not accustomed to that because many of them talk very fast now. But there are some that do speak very slow. So it's not like she was terrible like people are saying. It's just, you know, she has a slower speaking tone and everything. But back to the characters. The characters feel very off in this season. It's like you see them, you know who they are, but yet they act completely and utterly different. So now I can kind of see why the creators left the show and why the showrunner from live action said it's a remix. He remixed the crap out of it. Think of this live action series like this. The entire complete series of the animated series is nothing more but marbles. Every episode, every character, every plot, every book is literally a different marble with a different number. And all the numbers are in order. So you go like 1, 2, 3, etc. The showrunner from this show took that bag of marbles, put them all the way they're supposed to be lined up, and then mixed them all up with his hands, scattering them around. And that's basically this show. Things are completely out of place. Things that happen in other seasons are happening here. Like the whole meeting Wa Ti Shan, I think the owl dude from the spirit world, we don't meet him until book 2. So why is he in book 1? We don't meet Azula and her friends until book 2. So why are they in book 1? We don't get to see a Fire Nation airship until season 3. So why in the world are we seeing it in season 1? So see, it's things like that that's just all out of whack and everything, and they're just misplaced. And of course us diehard fans know that, but the people who don't are gonna get so confused, especially with the personalities. Now, I still think making an hour-long 8-episode arc was the dumbest thing ever because you were going to leave out a lot of good stuff. And you don't have to have every episode of the original series in here, but only the ones that are important for telling your narrative and everything. And that's something that they just kind of did not do. Now, on a business standpoint, I can see how it was smart to combine two episodes and put them in one on a business view of it. But as a actual fan, a watching view, it just didn't help that much. I mean, it's okay sometimes when people combine two movies, put them in one, or combine two episodes, put them in one. But when you mix and match all this stuff and change their personalities around, and when you change these events and you change their personalities, and it doesn't bring nothing new or important to the story you're telling, and makes it even more confusing, then you don't do that and stuff. And because it's kind of like, what was really the point in bringing in the Mechadist, I think that's how you say his name, if he wasn't gonna portray him the way he's portrayed in the cartoon and the story arc that he fully has? You only took like a tidbit of his story arc. Changing Boomy around, his personality was just completely weird. Changing Avatar Roku, whole entire personality was weird. Not having Aang waterbend, not even once, was stupid and pointless. The whole book one is literally called Water for a reason. One, they're going to the Northern Water Tribe. Two, one of the main characters that's part of Team Aang or Team Avatar is from the Water Nation who can waterbend. And three, Aang is supposed to learn waterbending. The whole point of the Avatar is that he's supposed to bring peace and balance to the world and defeat the Fire Nation. But what exactly is the motivation and plot of this version of Aang? I don't feel that, Not having Aang waterbend, not even once, was the dumbest thing ever. So what now? He's gonna learn it in season 2 as he's trying to learn that of earthbending too. So of course they're just gonna skip it and do like a time jump probably because the actor who plays Aang is getting older and stuff. He's even starting to sound older and get a little bit taller. And that's really robs people of the joy of watching him waterbend, especially alongside Katara and stuff. And so I do feel like the showrunner watched this show, the original one, and he understood it, but he wanted to tell his own story. And I'm conflicted at that point because it's kind of like, okay, I get it. You're the showrunner. You should tell whatever story you want. But it's not his story to tell. It's the original co-creators. But for more importantly, it's the fans. It is for us. It is not for nobody else. Like, when some people, cause right now Power Rangers is about to have a huge reboot. The original series that was created for over 30 years has finally ended. Netflix is gonna reboot it in something completely different. But they're gonna reboot it so it can be mainstream for a larger audience. And that doesn't set well with the fandom because it's for us, the fans, and not for everybody else who's not a fan. Same thing with Star Trek and Star Wars. Everything is getting changed to fit a completely different narrative so that non-Star Trek and Star Wars fans can watch it. And the actual fans are just there to like waste money on watching it and stuff. And so when you see it and it feels so different, you're not happy with the product. Also, like when watching this show, like, okay, certain plots that happen in book one, like the whole, I think it was it Haybot and the whole forest spirit thing, the whole what's his name, the fake code, the face stealer, like, and the whole like Sozin comment, and just like a lot of other stuff like Avatar Kyoshi and stuff like that, like so much things that us fans, we recognize when we see this happening in the show. But it's like, in the cartoon, the reason why these characters were added were to assist that of the team Avatar and the Avatar to build his story, to build his progression and stuff like that. There was conflict, and honestly, when watching it, you didn't know if they were gonna get out of that conflict or not. Like, you were wondering, like, how they gonna get out of this situation, especially when it comes to Ko, the face stealer, because he's supposed to steal people's faces and stuff, and you're not supposed to have no kind of emotion when being around him, because he can steal it just like that. And so, but there's a reason why Aang has to talk to him. It's not like just he randomly met him. He needed some advice because he's very wise and stuff. And we learn a little bit more about the water tribe, like Avatar, about how he stole his like wife's face, and how what's his name tried to kill him and stuff like that. And so it's like, you have this element that's in the cartoon, and when you watch it, your anticipation, because Aang is a very expressionate type person. He's really silly and goofy in season book 1, and so you think to yourself, crap, dude, how he's gonna like get past this without having his face stolen? But then it's reworked in the show to where it's not like that. And so every time they take elements from book 1 and add it into the show, I never feel a threat. And the reason why I never feel a threat is because there's no obstacle ahead. Like when he meets Ko in this series, he doesn't have to worry about showing expression, so that element of fear is taken away. Ko is all like, oh, I steal people's faces, but why exactly? Then you find out that Ko is just pretty much a typical monster type thing who kidnaps people and eat them and everything. He cocoons them and he eats them, which is completely different from that of the cartoon series. Now they made him into a legitimate monster and everything. So the threat of that is real because we see Katara and Sokka, cocoon, but you don't really feel too much of a threat. He doesn't threaten to do that really to Aang, and it's just kind of like, and if he's just going about getting it from random people, why hasn't he eaten them yet? And then it turns out he's just pissed because a former Avatar stole like a little statue and everything. And it's like, that's your motivation for kidnapping and wanting to eat people? That don't make no sense. And so of course Aang gets this thing, but he's captured by the Fire Nation. And then they combine that with the whole Blue Spirit arc and everything. And it's just kind of like I said, on a business standpoint, I understand why they want to combine that, but it doesn't make no sense narrative-wise. They're two completely different things. Like in the cartoon, the reason why Aang got captured is because his friends got sick and needed medicine. And the medicine was only at a certain place, so Aang had to go there. He got captured. And so it was like a real threat because they were going to die from just that of a virus as opposed to being eaten. But the thing is, if we actually saw Ko chase around, grabbing people, cocooning them, seeing them holler and scream, then it would be more scarier because he's a very scary looking person. And so changing this just feels so weak and everything. And then with the whole Blue Spirit arc, watching that like 20 years ago was so cool because you didn't know who was underneath the mask. And they're a skilled fighter and everything. They're only fighting with swords and they're taking out Fire Nation people. And we know Fire Nation people are very tough. And he rescues Aang. So it's like, cool, who is this vigilante? And so then when it's revealed, you're like, holy crap, it's Zuko. What in the world happened to him? Did he get hit in the head? Did he drink cactus juice? Like, what the heck happened? But he did that because he had to get the Avatar back. And the scene between him and Aang, when Aang found out who he was and like took him to like a place, Aang's really sad. They're in a dark place and he's just talking to Zuko. And what was so brilliant about the cartoon was that when he's talking to Zuko, he's being real with him. He's being deep. And he's being compassionate. And Zuko's just staring at him. And you don't know what the heck Zuko's going to do because you don't know what kind of state of mind he's in because he looks very vulnerable right now. And it seems like he's coming around. All until he gets so hot-headed that he decides to attack Aang and Aang goes off. And Aang literally said, you know, we could have been friends years ago if things were different between like the nations and stuff. Here in the show, it's completely different. Now it's like they have a full-on conversation with each other. So we now know what Zuko is thinking, and of course he's his hot-headed little self, and he doesn't care what Aang has to say. So it takes away from that big time because it's kind of like it was the mystery of what the heck is Zuko gonna do. Like, you think he's gonna come around because he rescued the Avatar, but no, like he betrayed him. He double-crossed him and everything. And here it's just they having that full-on conversation, and he still, like, you know, attacks him and stuff. And it doesn't have that same weight as the cartoon. Also, when it comes just to the spirit creatures in general, they made them all seem either like monsters or just pointless. Like, take Wan Chi Shan, the owl dude. Now that he's in season 1 and now that he's in the spirit world, it completely robs us of meeting him in season 2 in the whole Great Library. The whole Great Library thing has been completely scrapped. So now there's no point for them going to the desert, going into the library, and Toph having to take on like sandbenders and getting, like, you know, not able to stop them because she's trying to stop the library from sinking into the ground and trapping her friends. That whole great arc is now taken, which leads to Appa getting captured. Now, if Appa does get captured, it's going to be completely different. And so, like, introducing him now and not seeing the library and finding out all this cool, like, celestial type stuff, it was pointless just bringing him in for the sake of bringing him in season 1. He doesn't talk very wise, and he's just... he's not even scary because he's all CG and he's all in that mystical spirit land, and he's just not intimidating like he was in the cartoon, because he literally said, if you cross me, I will get you and everything. And that's what happened. They literally lied to him just so they can find out when the next eclipse was coming. And he's supposed to be the heroes, and they lied and everything, and that really pissed him off. Then there's the whole Hey Bot episode. Hey Bot, yeah, he's here, the bear thing. We don't never get to see him turn into a bear. They just make it seem like he's monstrous the entire time. But he is like the spirit of the forest, and he's pissed because the forest got burnt down, you know, and stuff like that. Something that does happen in the cartoon series. Only difference is there's no real motivation. There's no real weight to all this happening because we never really get to see like Aang and everybody go into like this town and talk to the people, interact with the people for a long time, and get creeped out by this spirit who just wants to go around taking people. And when Sokka gets taken, then you're really scared. So that's when Aang had to go and talk to Ko. Here it's just like they show up in the town, they find out the forest been burnt. Aang's a little sad, and next thing you know, they go to the spirit world for whatever reason, and Katara and Sokka, for some reason, go along with him. Now, it is interesting, and it could have been cool with them being in the spirit world, but all it was just to give them nightmares of things that happen in their real life. And because they didn't want to show that and stuff. Which, you know, it was flashbacks in the cartoon series, but now they made it into a dream sequence where we actually get to see it. But they don't even stay together. And so we know Hey Bot is pissed, but all they have him do is run around like a monster in the television series and stuff. And when Aang, see, the thing that was so important about the cartoon is Hey Bot and Aang were parallel in that episode. Aang was extremely pissed off about, you know, missing the 100 years of his life, the Fire Nation killing the air nomads, and destroying the world alongside with it, and enslaving people and ruling people and stuff. He feels guilty about that. But he's even more pissed because the forest has been destroyed, and it reminds him of his friends being destroyed. And he's down in the dumps and he doesn't think it would ever get better until Katara tells him, like, hey, look, there's like, an acorn. And if there's an acorn, then it's gonna rebuild a tree. So therefore, this forest will be rebuilt and everything. And that is kind of the same like journey mentally that Haybot is going through. He doesn't understand. He's frustrated like Aang and doesn't quite understand it until somebody has to tell him that. He knows that's what's going to happen, but he can't see clearly because he's blinded by hate and rage. And you don't feel that in this television series. Then there is the moon spirit and everything. Like, when this moon spirit is literally just Godzilla. He's a kaiju and everything. He's always been a kaiju, but when he took over Aang's body in the cartoon series, he did it to stop the Fire Nation and stuff like that. Here, he's just enraged because his lover is dead. And now they changed it to where say Aang is no more. It's only the moon spirit who has completely taken over Aang's body and mind and is going to be rampaging through the world, destroying everything and everybody in sight. That is not who he is. He's not vengeful, and he's not like a monster and everything. Now, he did have the nickname of Godzilla in the cartoon series by the creators and stuff, but the showrunner for the television show took that a little too literally and everything. Now he's rampaging and roaring and everything like a monster, and he never did that in like the cartoon series. June is another person who's very off and everything. She is like a very headstrong person. She's tough, she's sassy, she's rude, and she don't care what kind of authoritative figure you are. She will talk down to you and stuff. She only cares about her bounty and stuff. Here, she's giggly and laughy and playful and everything like that. And she has a flirtation crush on Iroh, which is the complete opposite of the series because it's him that has a crush on her, and she's irritated by that because she's younger and he's way older. Why change that? Like, why? I don't get that. Like, why change that? What was the point in changing that? Did they not want to show like a female like angry and stuff like that? They wanted to show her nice because they have Azula who's going to be angry and stuff. And not only that, but she didn't have her whipping her like monster and everything. Were they afraid PETA might get on to himself? Because PETA will. If it's even if it's a fictional character, they will get on to you about that. They don't like animal cruelty of anything. Remember that whole Super Mario raccoon looking suit? Remember that? And I don't get why they would change her personality, because she's the most accurate design-wise out of anybody in this series. She literally leaped from the cartoon series onto live action. The actress they got her looks just like her. Speaking of which, there seems to be some kind of misconception about the Earth Kingdom. Even I got it wrong at one point until I did some more research. So, when it comes to the Earth Kingdom, like, everybody assumed that they was from South Asia, Indian, Pakistani, stuff like that, because every person you saw was like that. Especially when you saw the Mechanist, because he's played by a dude from Community and everything. And so I remember when I saw that, I'm like, okay, they must all be from South Asia. But then I'm thinking to myself, wait, hold up, maybe it's just Omashu and everything. Because June, which many people don't realize, is from the Earth Kingdom. Because at first I thought she was Fire Nation because she wears red and black. But then when you look at her hair color, it's the same color as Toph. And Toph is Chinese because the Earth Kingdom in the cartoon series is based on Beijing, China and everything. So I'm all like, if she's like, actually like Asian instead of South Asian, which is like Indian and Pakistani, then not everybody in the Earth Kingdom is like that way. So maybe Toph will be Chinese and stuff. Also, the greatest cameo of all time, the Cabbage Man, the Cabbage Merchant dude. It was so awesome to see him in this series because they don't have much humor in this series. But not only that, but he's played by the dude who voices him. Ah, that is awesome. And not only that, but it also proves not everybody in the Earth Kingdom is from South Asia because he's Asian himself, like Asian and stuff. I don't know what type exactly, but he is Asian. So let me talk about some positives here. 'Cause I don't want this to be all of a negative review. Because I don't hate this series. I just am very conflicted and I'm very annoyed because out of all 8 episodes, there's only 3 I actually like. All the other ones, it just like frustrate me and everything. I like episode 1 because it's the most cartoon accurate, and that's because the showrunners from the cartoon actually worked on that episode. They tweaked things here and there just to tell a slightly different story, or like so it won't be too predictable. And also like probably things they wanted to change in the cartoon, but just never did. I also like episode 2. I like that whole Kyoshi Warrior episode. I also like episode 8. It was the most action packed and felt more like the cartoon series with some tweaks here and there. And so, what did I say? Some positives, right? I like the location spots. I like what they did, even though they are CGI. I do like them. They look like they came straight from the cartoon. Yes, the actual movie looked a little bit more realistic because they had some practicality here and there, which here they just worked on like a volume. So I do love all the different locations. They look beautiful, they look gorgeous, they look really cool. I also love the bending. The fire bending is probably my favorite. They nailed the fire bending, like for sure. They don't only just have flames, but they have little sparks of embers, like firework looking stuff on the side. I love that. It looks hot, it looks fiery, and along with the fighting, it looks very realistic like the cartoon. Like it feels like the cartoon came alive with the fire bending. Also, I appreciate the earth bending and stuff. The earth bending, one of the things that always pissed me off about the cartoon was that when they earth bent, actual earth from the ground, it just kind of sucked the rock up. And the actual ground was completely okay. I'm just like, what the heck did they do? It's like they squeezed a part of the rock out and the rest of the rock is completely fine. And here they actually show the ground crumbling up. You got like the dust, the sand falling, the granite and stuff. I like that. I love that detail. The water bending slightly needs a bit of touch up. It looks good in a lot of places, and then sometimes it just simply doesn't. But for the most part, the water bending looks pretty good. The air bending also looks very good. I wish you can kind of see it a bit more. Like during the attack at the Northern Air Temple, when that lady airbender was bending, I couldn't see her actual like mist or whatever, but the air bending looks really nice. Also, I'm very glad that they showed the Northern Air Temple getting attacked because it's like, we hear about it in the cartoon, but we never actually got to see any of it because it was too brutal. And that's one way to really show you just what kind of threat that the Fire Nation is. They are literally just evil and everything. Like they have no conscience until you get to season 3 or book 3, I should say. And then you realize, because the thing about the Fire Nation is that they're kind of like, what are they called? The German like soldiers from World War II. They're that evil. But then you realize not everybody in Germany is evil. And that's what you find out in book 3. And so as brutal as this attack was, it was nice to see and everything. To show just how strong the firebenders are, because the comet was going above. However, I was expecting the firebenders to be a bit stronger than what they were, only because the cartoon in the last episode made them seem very, very strong. When it comes to firebending, I don't understand why they made Azula's firebending like orangish red, like the color, fire is. She's supposed to have blue fire. It's never explained why she has blue fire, but she has blue fire in the cartoon series. And so, like, I don't get why they had her fire be the same color as normal fire. Also, the way she fire bends is completely wrong. She's fire bending like every other firebender. She's not supposed to do that. Every main antagonist in a book is supposed to have a unique fighting style from that of the Fire Nation. Zuko had his typical fire bending like everybody else. Azula had, well, I'll get to her a little bit later. And then there's the third book, Combustion Man shot like some kind of weird gassy flame from like his forehead because he had a third eye and it made things explode. Azula, her fire is blue, but when she fire bends, she uses the two tips of her fingers in kind of like a gun position. You know how people make that gun pose with the fingers? She does that with like, but she keeps her thumb tucked in. And so she uses like the two pointer finger and everything to fire bend. It's weird and it's different. And she is the only person who does that because she is very precise. And her flames are a lot hotter than everybody because they go blue. Now they got her lightning bending right. Thank God for that. Because I don't know if she's just now trying it out for the first time ever, but like at least her fingertips are in the right position and she's moving correctly and stuff. I just wish they would have more lightning circulate around her body, which makes me think she might be new at this. Now, in terms of Azula, why in the world did they change her character so much? Azula, like I said, is not even supposed to be in season one, or book one, only as a silhouette, and that's it. And we see her as a little kid, unsilhouette. But they kind of gave her Zuko's personality. She feels like she has to earn the respect of her father by being the perfect, princess that she is, and firebender and fighter and this and that. And she feels like she's not good enough, and she constantly says that. Now, the thing is, in the cartoon series, she is like that as well. You just don't hear about it much. If you recall, see, she wants perfection, just like this one does. She wants perfection. The first real time we see her in book 2, the first episode, she's practicing her fire bending and her lightning bending. And her technique and skill was excellent, just like those two twin ladies said. But then Azula saw her hair come out of place. It was just one strand of hair, and it pissed her off. She says she's gonna need perfection or whatever, and all this other crap, and because she's all about being perfect. You rarely hear her say that. So to hear her constantly say that was like annoying. Because the thing is, she has insecurities, just like we found out about that beach episode. But she doesn't let people know that because it's a sign of weakness. And she doesn't want people to see her as being weak. Just like her mental state. Deep down inside, she is psychotic. She is a sociopath. She's so keen on wanting to have everything her way in perfection that it has literally rocked her mind. But she keeps that under wraps so nobody can see. The only real time you ever see that if you're able to best her in a fight and piss her off verbally and stuff. If you piss her off verbally and make her look weak and sound weak and all this other stuff, she will show her crazy side, which she rarely does. And she did it in the finale of the cartoon series, and she did it one other time when it came to that about to attack May, because she felt betrayed and May insulted her. Here, she just wears her emotion on her sleeves, and I don't like that and stuff. She's supposed to be this very tough, very precise, very deadly woman, and yet they just making her into a typical princess who's whining about stuff. Now, they still made her evil. Thank God for that, because she's cunning and she's smart. But in terms of acting like Azula from the cartoon series, they need to write her better acting that way. As for her two friends, now, one thing about Azula that was weird is how she disrespected Ozai. The thing about Azula is she has no respect for nobody. Now, it doesn't matter who it is, except for authoritative people in the Fire Nation, she will sass them, but she won't like attack them. However, Ozai, she is terrified of that man and will not disrespect him in any way, shape, or form. Will not question him because that is how scary this man is. And she knows that firsthand because of the whole Zuko thing and because of how her grandfather was and stuff. But the thing is, she does question him in the finale because he pissed her off and she snapped. And because she was a whiny little princess turned into like, a Fire Lord and everything. Because she was gonna be the Fire Lord and he decided to be the Fire Phoenix or something like that, which is more it's a level above her. And she did not appreciate that because she thought she was going to get to rule, but he rules everything. And so basically she would just rule like the Fire Nation, but he would like rule everything else and stuff. And so that pissed her off to where she finally questioned that man in a very rude kind of way. And as soon as he he put her in her place really fast and she shut her mouth. That's how terrified she is of him. Here is like different, and I don't get that. I believe they're going to change her so much in season 2 and 3 that she might take over or form some type of coup. And not of that a Ba Sensei. Ty Lee seems like a live action Ty Lee who's just been watered down. She is smiley, but not all that giggly and all that bouncy. She doesn't do flips, but she seems accurate in terms of the way she's portrayed and stuff like that. It's just she's a live action watered down version. May, on the other hand, needs to be a little bit more depressional and she needs to be a little bit more gloomy. She's close. The actress who plays her is close, but she doesn't act gloomy enough and she doesn't act monotone enough. She needs to become Aubrey Plaza from that of Parks and Rec. Aubrey Plaza is the perfect May. She needs to emulate that and stuff. Another thing I like about this series that they didn't necessarily get the races right, but they got them more appropriate and stuff. No more whitewashing and stuff like that. No more making the Indian people the villains and stuff. So, like, at least they got Asian people and Native American people. See, the thing is like, in the cartoon series, it's like this. Earth Kingdom is China. Fire Nation is Japan. The air nomads are like Tibetan monks from like East Asia and stuff. And when it comes to the water tribe people, that's where it gets a little bit more confusing. They're based on Eskimo people, Instant and stuff like that. But their weapons are based more on like indigenous Australian weapons and everything. And that's really interesting. So for the show, they decided, okay, they're gonna have since Daniel what's his name, Gordon I can't talk right now. I can't talk, Gordon. I can't say his name for some reason, but Gordon, he's Filipino. So they decided to change, the air nomads from like Tibetan monks. Still got them Tibetan monk-like, but they changed them up to more Asian people and stuff. So they're probably more East Asian monks and stuff like that, or maybe somewhere else, because like they didn't do the whole Tibet thing. So I guess they're doing more like Chinese monks and like Filipino and other, just any type of Asian person they could find basically. So, and there are Chinese monks and, other type of monks and stuff, but they didn't go the Tibet route. And Tibet and China are not the same thing. And so, like, now when it comes to Filipino, they're more southeast than they are east. So, but at least the dude who plays Aang looks like Aang. My God, he looks like Aang and everything. That's great. Now, when it comes to that, the Fire Nation, they went... did they go the Japanese route? I'm not sure. They're supposed to be Japanese, but I'm not sure The people playing them, where exactly are they? Okay, yes, the dude who plays Zuko, he is actually Japanese, so that's great and everything. Um, as for the other ones, I'm not really sure because I never really looked into too many of them and stuff to see like where they're from. Let's see where Daniel Day Kim is from. Let's see, he is, no, he's not Japanese. He's South Korean. So yeah, they just kind of mixed that around and changed it up and stuff like that. And what did I say? Earth Kingdom. So far, it's either like Chinese Asians or it's mostly just Indian people, which I'll get into them a little bit later because that video I put up. I'm still surprised that they changed that dude's skin tone. But anyway, but then it gets to the Water Tribe people. That's where it gets a little bit more interesting. They pretty much just made them Native American, which makes sense and everything because a lot of the Alaskan people are indigenous from Native Americans. They just don't like being called Native American, just Native Alaskan. But then there's the dude who plays Sokka, which caused a bit of an uproar online apparently because a lot of people are saying that he is white and everything. And oh yeah, the dude who plays Iroh, he's South Korean as well. And so, what is the dude who plays Sokka? Ian. So, the actress who plays Katara, she is like full on like indigenous from Canada. The dude who plays Sokka, Ian, he is mixed. I'm not exactly sure what he's mixed with, but some people are screaming online saying he's white. But if you look at him, even before he did this series, you can tell he got something in him. He said he's mixed with Native American, Cherokee and stuff. And you can tell he has some indigenous in him. But from what I've read, apparently his Cherokee tribe isn't like enrolled. So because of that, the other ones don't really consider his tribe to be full-on Native American. I say, look, I don't know anything about this whole enrolled thing. If you are half Native American or indigenous and half whatever else, in my opinion, then that is what you are. So in my opinion, he's half white and half Native American or indigenous. Because I don't know if he's from America. So he's half Native American, in my opinion. It's just like, because a lot of people have indigenous in them. I'm black. I have indigenous in my ancestry and stuff. My great grandmother has some in there. Does that necessarily mean I think I'm indigenous because of my great grandmother? No, because it's only like a smidgen, a tiny bit, like in there and stuff. So I don't know why people are really attacking him if he's not really full on white like they say he is and stuff. Also, I'm glad that they pronounced the names in a way that I recognize. Not right, just recognize. Because in the movie, they changed their name because they want to go to actual Asian pronunciation and everything. And I can understand that and respect that. They did it for Shang-Chi instead of calling him Shang-Chi. So people shouldn't be too out of bent about the movie doing that. But at least, like I said before, they pronounced their names in a way people recognize them from the cartoon. Before I go into the rest of the characters and stuff, first I just want to talk about tone in voices and emotion. I've said this before I even watched the series. I saw clips and I didn't feel the raw emotion from a lot of these characters. It was pretty much robbed from them. And for some unknown reason, I don't know if it was like a writing reason, a direction from the director, or it was just the actors just not bringing it and stuff. But a lot of these characters in Avatar, like Team Avatar and everything, they have a lot of emotions, everything from humor to sadness to happiness, to just burst of joy and anger. They shout a lot in the series, and you don't see that here a lot, with the exception of Zuko, but he even doesn't even do it that much. And it's just like, I don't understand why this show was robbed of emotion. Like, we're supposed to feel that. Like when it comes to Sokka and that of Katara, they're brother and sister, and they have a strong bond in the series. Yeah, they act like brother and sister and they get on each other's nerves and they insult each other and stuff, but it's all in good fun. But they also the type of people that when the something bad happens and they have to like fight somebody and they get separated either briefly or like a long period of time, and when they see each other, they run up to each other and give each other a huge embrace hug. You don't see that in the series, and you certainly don't feel it even when they actually do probably like hug once in like, you know, the series and stuff. And I don't know why that was robbed, because it's a great character, like, you know, moment for these characters. Also, you know, the characters, they get angry a lot, they make mistakes and stuff, they don't understand situations, they cry, you know, they unleash their anger sometimes in their bending, like Katara when she freed Aang from the iceberg. She did it here just by bending normally, and it's like she's not that great of a bender yet, so how the heck did she free him and stuff? In the cartoon series, it was rage and anger because Sokka was making fun of her and stuff. And I just don't understand why things like that is robbed. Also, I'm not expecting this from every character, but some characters, I want them to attempt to try and sound like their counterpart from the cartoon series. Like, take Roku. He has a very gravelly, deep voice. It's gritty, it's gravelly, and this Roku is lighthearted, and his voice sounds lighthearted. And it's just weird. It's just kind of like, this is supposed to be Roku? Why is he giggly and joking and all this other stuff? Why would Sozin ever become friends with him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Then you have Iroh, who does a really good job in everything, and he makes the character his own, but I really want that gravelly, gritty, like Iroh sounding voice, you know, because Mako had a very strong voice, and I always hear that when I think of Iroh, and I don't feel that here. Zhao is supposed to be more like, you know, a tactician type person when he talks, like a soldier. Reminds me of like Star Trek, like with Tuvok or something, and you don't see that here. And, you know, Katara has a range of emotions, and you just don't see it in the series. And Aang, while he has a kiddish nature to him, he feels stripped of his humor in his adolescence at time. The most Aang I seen this dude be was in the first episode. So let's get into some more characters. Let's start with Aang himself. Oh wait, let me talk about the clothes first. The clothes do look kind of cosplay, but they do look good. Like I'm saying, like I see these characters in these clothes. They are very brightly colored, which I'm happy about because that's how they are in the cartoon. And some people complained about that. What, you wanted dingy and muted? Whenever things are dingy and muted, people complain. So why do people want to see that here? And you know, when you look at actual Asian clothes from back in the day, they are very brightly colored. Now, the material is interesting because of the simple fact I've seen this same material on another Netflix show. Well, it's not really a Netflix show. It's a Canadian show, but it airs on Netflix. And one of the actresses is in that show, and I'll get to her and I'll explain it, because the material and the fabric is identical. So they must have got the same company or person to get that like material or something. Okay, I'm finna cut it off here because the video got a little too long and I can't save it as like 2 hours and stuff. So the next video that comes up will be the character profiles and how they got the characters wrong from that of the cartoon series. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.